Did you know that you can now use geolocation in your Adalo app? We're going to go over how to build a really simple app called Coffee Shops. This is an app where you find the closest coffee shops to your current location, and as a bonus feature, a way to search near other locations too. So, this is what it looks like when it's finished. We can click into a coffee shop, see it on the map. All of this is being done automatically for us based on the device location. So if I were to log into a browser somewhere else, these would all update with new distances also. All right, so we're going to get started building this location-based coffee shop finder. Now, when you get started with locations, there are a few setup steps that you have to go through, and Adalo has done a good job at giving you instructions to do these. So if you go to their help resources, you should find this location section. It's under database, and it has a getting your Google API key page. As a quick run through, you do need to create a new project on Google Cloud Platform. This is going to require that you have some sort of Gmail or G Suite account. Then you do need to also set up billing. So you can use location features for free up to $200 worth of usage through Google. That's something they provide monthly, $200 worth of credits. After you go over that, however, anything that you have on file to be billed will be billed. So please keep that in mind also. Adalo has some information on estimating how much your API may be used, but we're also going to look at my own personal Google Cloud platform, and we're going to see what the usage looks like just after building this app. So let's keep scrolling down and see the other steps here. I'm not going to go over these in detail because you'll have to walk through them on your own, and all the screenshots are here too. So we've got all of that about linking your Google account. Also, you will need to enable some APIs. So there's instructions on which APIs to enable. A couple more steps to get all of that done. You'll end up getting an API key and then putting that in Adalo under settings under Google Maps API key. So that's how you set up the location feature for your app. A few steps to get going, probably take you about 10 minutes or so. That's about how long it took me to get started. But once you do that, you should be all set to add really cool location features to your app. So let's go back to my app. I do have my API key already added, so we're good to go. And what I've done here is I've stripped the app of all location specific features. So we're back to ground zero. Right now, if I were to open the app up and take a look, it looks like some of this is maybe getting cached, but for example, like the map isn't working at all. This essentially the subtitle. Oh, I still had that. Let's clear that out. We'll get the subtitle out of here. Here we go. So if we go into preview mode now, we do have a list of locations. These are just in the database that I've added. I'll show you here in a second, but nothing is special about these. They're not being sorted for me. So what we want to do is fix that. We want to make it so that wherever I am, if I open this app, it will get my location and it will sort the list and show me what's nearest to me. Okay, so how do we do this? First of all, we have our database. We have our coffee shops that we want to sort. So I've added some of these already, but you'll see there's this new property type called location. This is available to use anytime, but it's not going to actually work unless you've added your API key, the billing is set up, and everything is good to go on Google's end. So to do this in your database, all you do is click add property and click location, and then you can have a location property set. I've already gone through and for all of my records set the location, but just to show you, this location field is essentially like a Google map search. So you can type a place in here, you can type an address, and it will actually get the rich information for you. So it'll get the name, it'll get the address, it'll get the latitude and the longitude. There's several different properties that come along with a location. And just a note here, that when you're using this location field and typing in a search, that search counts as an action towards your API credits. Think about this anytime that you're doing something that requires talking to Google and saying, hey, Google, give me something. I hope I don't set anyone's Google Home devices off just now. That's going to count towards an API action. Okay, so let's back out of here. We've already got our list and I've already added the location for all of these. So we're all set and ready to go. Now let's set this app up so that it is going to start filtering for me. First and foremost, your app does need to get permissions to use location. This works on progressive web apps or PWAs. It also works on native iOS and Android apps, but you do need to request permission before you can access somebody's device location. Adalo will do this automatically the first time you try to use the device location if you haven't already asked for permission. But if you have maybe an onboarding screen or something set up where you're already trying to get the permissions that you need for your app to run properly, you can add it as a new action. So, for example, if when somebody visited the home screen, I wanted to not only get notification permissions, but I also wanted to get location permissions, I could do it like that and just make sure that we have location permissions on the home screen. So we'll add that there. Now that we have location permissions from the user, let's go in and filter this. You'll see that on our list, since we have coffee shops linked and they have a location field, we have an option under sorting to sort by location. So we can do closest to farthest or farthest to closest. I want to do closest to farthest on this one. Next, we need to choose how we want that to relate. So we want it to relate to the current device location, but you can also do it by a custom location. Or if you add a location input, this is a new input option that I'll show you, you can sort by that. So we'll do that in just a second. But for now, we're going to do the current device location. You can also choose a fallback address. So there's a tooltip here that says the fallback address will be used if the referenced sorting location cannot be found. So for example, if somebody doesn't give you their address or if there's some kind of issue with their connection to the API, it'll use this address as the sorting reference. We're going to leave this blank. We don't need to worry about that right now. And then I think all of the rest of this is good. So this is a pretty standard Adalo app where we've got the list that links to a details screen where we can view some more information. So the only action on this is a link to details. For title, we have our coffee shop name. This is a standard text field. We have named it here. But also, we could get the name from the Google information if we wanted to. I'm not going to do this just because I want to save on the amount of requests that we're making to Google, but it is an option should you want to use magic text to get the location name. It is there. You also have all these other options. You can get the full address, street address, city, state, country, postal code, and latitude and longitude. So several options there. For the subtitle, what I want to do is actually show the distance of this coffee shop from my current location. So how am I going to get the distance? That's actually a new formula. So we'll click on this magic text button, click on new formula, and then you have to click on this once you see custom formula, just click on it to expand it. And here we'll choose this button right here and click on functions, miles. There's also kilometers available if you need to use those, but we're going to use miles for our app. And here what we need to do, and you'll see here when you're looking at the functions that this example shown is that you want latitude A, latitude B, and longitude B. So we're going to start with the coffee shop. So we're going to grab the coffee shop location's latitude. This is pulled from Google automatically. Add a comma, and then get the longitude. And then we need our location. So we're going to get the current device location's latitude and the current device location's longitude. All right, there we go. So this should now calculate how many miles are between the coffee shop and our device. So we're going to add some suffixes here. We'll start with a singular suffix for mile and a plural. We're going to add an S to that. And we should be set. So let's preview this. Let's see what we're looking like. Ooh, all right. That's a lot of decimal places. It is working, so that's nice. But we want to go through and clean that up. Let's go to the subtitle. And for this, let's change the number format. Let's do default. Okay, now when we preview this, that's a lot better. So this is looking pretty good. And it is sorted. So we have the closest coffee shop and the farthest coffee shop in my list from top to bottom. This is pretty nice, but this is an app to show coffee shops near me. And I feel like seeing these coffee shops from Seattle that are 1,600 miles away from me in North Texas is not very helpful. So what I want to do is actually go through and add a filter. So something cool we can do now is we can get a custom filter for location, and choose a range or a boundary. So we have is within or is not within, but we're going to do is within, and let's do 20 miles. So we'll do is within 20 miles of the current device location. So now automatically when we go into preview mode here, we should only see coffee shops that are within 20 miles from me. Still sorted closest to farthest, but we're only going to see the close coffee shops. So that's great. What we want to do next is we want to set up the detail screen. So when we click on here, we want to make sure that the address and the location is shown. So we'll just replace the address placeholder here. We're going to get the current coffee shop's full address for that. Okay, next for the map, what we want to do is go into markers and we want to add the current coffee shop's latitude and then longitude also. So what that should do is give us a pin right where the coffee shop is, and that looks right. So great. Now we have a really dynamic way to show where these coffee shops are. All these distances are showing up for us. Let's add one more feature. So we have this link to find near somewhere else. What I want to do is basically give users the option to enter a location and get coffee shops near there. For example, maybe you're planning some travel or you have somewhere to go and you want to get coffee when you're there rather than where you currently are. So let's set that up right now. First of all, what we need is we need a way for the user to add a location. To do that, we want to actually give them suggestions while they're typing. If I'm traveling to Seattle and I want to be able to put in the Seattle airport, rather than going and looking up the Seattle airport address and then putting that in and then using that in my functions, I want to actually grab it from Google. So we have this new location input. It's one of the elements. If you go down to forms and fields, it's called location input. I've added it already, but you can go in and add it and then add some styling as well. We're going to put this placeholder, find coffee shops near. You can add an icon, default value, styles, all that good stuff. So we've already added it and set it up. Next, what we need to do is set up our list to mirror what we're searching. So for our list, we want to sort closest to farthest from the location input. So rather than the current device location, like our first list, we're going to choose location input. And then fallback address, we're going to leave as empty here. And we also need to set up the subtitle. So for the subtitle, if you remember, we'll go and add magic text, click new formula, open this new miles function up, and then we're going to get the coffee shop latitude, add a comma, coffee shop longitude, add a comma. But here now, instead of the device location, we want to get the location input latitude and the location input longitude. Make sure to close that off with the end parentheses. And then for the number format, we want a default. And let's add mile and miles here as well. And all set there. So now we should be able to see coffee shops that are near a location. Let's test it out and see what it looks like. We'll go to this new screen. Currently, we don't have anything in the location search, so we don't see any distances. That's correct. Let's try Seattle Airport. So we have the Seattle Tacoma Airport. And there we go. So now we have the coffee shops that are near there with the distance from that location rather than our device locations. The issue here is we're now showing all of my local coffee shops because they're part of my list. So let's narrow this down. We'll just add a filter really fast. We want to do location is within 20 miles of the location input. So now when we go in and we preview and we search, we'll only have results within 20 miles, still sorted from nearest to farthest. This is all set now, showing us our locations dynamically. We're getting coffee shops that are nearest to us, or we can go search by a specific location. And this is all being done dynamically with Google Maps. Before we close out, let's go look at my API usage. So keep in mind, I've set this up twice. I had to enter all these locations in. I was using the Google Places API to get location information. And every time we go in and we look at one of these screens, it's going and asking Google, where's the address? Where's the map? What's the latitude and longitude? Where should I put the pin? All of these things So it's probably going to be several, but let's just have a look real fast. All right, so this is my Google Cloud platform. It's what I've connected to only this app. And we have our Places API with 83 requests, our Geocoding API with 34 requests, and our Maps JavaScript API with 9 requests. So not too bad. You can see how this is several for just me hopping in here, but you can use this as an idea for how many users you have, how many actions they may be taking on a regular basis, and how much you might actually be spending on Google Maps in order to enable this for your app. So remember, you get $200 of credit. Google has a cool calculator to show you how much you might need, but every month you have 200 in credit, and then past that, you will be responsible for billing. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or join us on Discord, and I would be happy to chat with you there. Thanks.